Jaya Girivara Dari, Jaya Girivara Dari, Jaya Yashodananda Jaya Rajana Ranjana, Jaya Yashodananda Jaya Rajana Ranjana, Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Rajana Ranjana, Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Rajana Ranjana, Jaya Mona Kiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Yamuna Kiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Yamuna Kiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Madhava Radhe, Jaya Jaya Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra, Jaya Narasimhadev, Jaya Narasimhadev, Narasimhadev, Jaya Prahlad Narasimhadev, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. नाम संकीर्तन की जय, जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुरमाई की जय, नरसिंह भगवान की जय, पंचतत्व की जय, षड गोस्वामी की जय, गुरु परंपरा की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरुदेव की जय, निताई गौर हरि। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं, देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayesha bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes of the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Hare Krishna, Prabhu's Mataji, welcome. Today we will be taking Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 3rd canto, 16th chapter, the two verses, 27 and 28. Just share the screen. Okay. 3, 16, 27 from Srimad Bhagavatam. Brahmovacha अथ ते मुनयो दृष्ट्वा नयनानन्दभाजनम् वैकुण्ठं तदधिष्ठानम् विकुण्ठं च स्वयं प्रभम्. ब्रह्मोवाच अथ ते मुनयो दृष्ट्वा नयनानन्दभाजनम् वैकुण्ठं तदधिष्ठानम् विकुण्ठं च स्वयं प्रभम्. Anybody would want to recite? Please go ahead.
Brahmovacha adate munayo drishtva nayanananda bhajanam vaikuntam tadadishtanam vikuntam cha swayam prabham.
Thank you. Any Matajis? Anybody else? Okay. We go to the synonyms. Brahmavacha, Lord Brahma said, Atha, now, te, those, Munayaha, sages, Drishtva, after seeing, Nayana, of the eyes, Ananda, pleasure, Bhajanam, producing, Vaikuntam, the Vaikunta planet, Tat, of him, Adhishtanam, the abode, Vikuntam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Cha, and Swayam Prabham, self-illuminating. Translation and purport by Divine Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Brahma said, after seeing the Lord of Vaikunta, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the self-illuminated Vaikunta planet, the sages left their transcendental abode. Purport. The transcendental abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as stated in Bhagavad Gita and confirmed in this verse, is self-illuminated. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that in the spiritual world, there is no need of sun, moon, or electricity. This indicates that all the planets there are self-illuminated, self-sufficient, and independent. Everything there is complete. Lord Krishna says that once one goes to that Vaikunta planet, he never returns. The inhabitants of the Vaikunta never return to the material world. But the incident of Jaya and Vijaya was a different case. They came to the material world for some time, and then they returned to Vaikunta. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Going to the next verse, 28th verse. Bhagavantam parikramya pranipatyanumanya cha pratijagmo pratimuditaha shamsanto vaishnavim shriyam. Bhagavantam parikramya pranipatyanumanya cha pratijagmo pramuditaha shamsanto vaishnavim shriyam. Anybody else would like to try?
Hare Krishna. Bhagavantam parikramya pranipatyanumanya cha pratijagmuhu pramoditaha samshanto vaishnavim shriyam.
Yeah, Krishna, thank you. Give it the synonyms. Bhagavantam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Parikramya, after circumambulating. Pranipatya, after offering obeisances. Anumanya, after learning. Cha and Prati Jagmohu returned. Pramuditaha, extremely delighted. Shamsantaha, glorifying. Vaishnavim, of the Vaishnavas. Shriyam, opulence. Translation and purpose Divine Geshe Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: the sages circumambulated the Supreme Lord, offered their obeisances, and returned, extremely delighted at learning of the divine opulences of the Vaishnava. Purport: it is still a respectful practice to circumambulate the Lord in Hindu temples. Especially in Vaishnava temples, there is an arrangement for people to offer their respects to the deity and circumambulate the temple at least 3 times. Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanyamabhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahagana Raghunatamitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Jena Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yonta Pravishya Mama Vacha Mimam Prasuptam Sanjeevayati Akila Shakti Dharasvadhamnam Anyam Hasta Charana Shravanato Gadhin Prana Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam Namo Vishnu 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 Bhutale Srimati Mahashya Samati Namni Namo Vishnu 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 Vidas Namni Nirvishnu Shunya Pacha Vishnu Vyasi Krishna. So Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's Mataji, thank you very much for joining and keeping the appointment with Krishna. Welcome all of you for this Srimad Bhagavatam session. And today we are discussing from 3rd canto, 16th chapter, the 2 verses 27 and 28. It's continuing with the cursing of the Jaya Vijaya by the Sanat Kumaras and how the Lord came in sought forgiveness. No? He said, it is because of me. Although Jaya Vijaya stopped them, but because of his instruction. So he is taking the blame, just like the conflict management in management, the big companies. No? The same thing is Krishna is teaching us how to manage the conflicts, right? So it's a beautiful episode, and we will see some more lessons from these 2 verses, especially the 27th verse. See, the transcendental, that's what in the purport, Prabhupada in the 27th verse, Prabhupada says, the transcendental abode of Supreme Personality of Godhead, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, and confirmed in this verse, is self-illuminated. And in Bhagavad Gita, it is said that in the spiritual world, there is no need of sun, moon, or electricity. So this indicates that all the planets there are self-illuminated, self-sufficient, and independent. Everything there is complete. So this refers to, in Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, 6th verse. Na tat bhasayate suryo, na shashanko na pavakah, yad gatva ninavartante, taddama paramam mama. See, the spiritual world, the abode of Supreme Personality of God Krishna, which is known as Krishna Loka, or Goloka Vrindavana, is described in this verse. See, in the spiritual sky, Rupa says in the purport, there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, fire, or electricity, because all the planets are self-luminous. We have only one planet in this universe, the sun, which is self-luminous. All the planets in the spiritual sky are self-luminous. So Prabhupada further says, the shining effulgence of all those planets called Vaikunthas, they constitute the shining sky known as the Brahma Jyoti. Actually, the effulgence is emanating from the planet of Krishna, Goloka Vrindavan. And part of that shining effulgence is covered by the Mahat Tattva, that is the material world. So other than this, the major portion of the shining sky is full of spiritual planets, which are called Vaikunthas, and chief of which is the Goloka Vrindavana. So as long as a living entity is in this dark material world, he is in conditional life. But as soon as he reaches the spiritual sky, by cutting through the, Prabhupada says, false, perverted tree of this material world, he becomes liberated. Perverted tree, in the 15th chapter only, the beginning, he says, no, banyan tree, if it is near a sea or a river, when you see the reflection, it will be opposite, no? Perverted, that means it's opposite. It's not the same. Although it is all the spiritual world, but here it is topsy-turvy, everything perverted. So that's why he says, by cutting through the false, perverted tree of this material world, he becomes liberated. Then there is no chance of his coming back here. So in this conditional life, the living entity considers himself to be the lord of this material world. In his liberated state, he enters into the spiritual kingdom and becomes an associate of the Supreme Lord. There he enjoys eternal bliss, eternal life, full of knowledge. So Prabhupada says one should be captivated by this information, right? You should be attracted by this information which we just got, right? He should desire to transfer himself to that eternal world and extricate himself from this false reflection of reality. For one who is too much attached to this material world, it is very difficult to cut that attachment. But if he takes to Krishna consciousness, there is a chance of gradually becoming detached. So one has to associate himself with devotees, those who are in Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada very nicely gives a very nice statement. He says one should search out a society dedicated to Krishna consciousness and learn how to discharge devotional service. So in this way, he can cut off his attachment to the material world very easily. See, one cannot become detached from the attraction of the material world simply by dressing himself in saffron cloth. He must become attached to the devotional service of the Lord. So therefore, one should take it very seriously. That devotional service, as it is described in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the chapter is entitled Devotional Service, right? So one should take it very seriously, as it is described in the 12th chapter, and that is the only way to get out of this false representation of the real tree. So in chapter 14 of Bhagavad Gita, the contamination of all kinds of processes by material nature is described. So Prabhupada says only devotional service is described as purely transcendental. And in this 15.6, the words last statement, last line, the words paramam mama says, tadama paramam mama. So paramam mama is very important. Actually, every nook and corner is the property of the Supreme Lord. But the spiritual world is paramam, full of 6 opulences. In the Katha Upanishad 2:15 also confirms that in the spiritual world there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, or stars. Na tatra surya bhati, na chandra tarakam. But the whole spiritual sky is illuminated by the internal potency of the Supreme Lord. And that supreme abode can be achieved only by surrender and by no other means. See, once a person happened to see a signboard on a hotel. It was written, come, eat as much as you can. Do not pay any bill. Your grandson will pay. So this was a statement, right? It says, come, eat as much as you can. Do not pay the bill. Your grandson will pay. Now this tempted that person very much. And he enthusiastically went inside. Sat down, started eating, and ate as much as the fullest stomach. And after enjoying the food, as he was leaving, the hotel manager tapped him on his back and showed him the bill. The person angrily said, just see your board, you have written, my grandson will pay. The manager said, that is true, sir, but this is your grandfather's bill. So there are 2 types of people in this world, the cheaters and the cheated. So in this story, the man wanted to cheat the hotelier, but he himself got cheated, as the hotelier was also equally a cheat. See, the dictionary meaning of cheat is deceive or trick. So Othello played a trick and the man was caught. And since he has eaten, he cannot deny also. So similarly, Maya gives us so many propositions to enjoy, taking us away from Krishna, and we are caught in that. Srila Prabhupada explains in the preface to Bhagavad Gita as it is, that the conditioned soul has 4 defects. 1, is sure to commit mistakes. 2, is invariably illusion. 3, has the tendency to cheat others. And 4, is limited by imperfect senses. So we are illusion due to our imperfect senses and commit mistake. And to cover up the mistake, we indulge in something known as cheating propensity. So it is true, no? We are illusion. Why? Because we are due to our imperfect senses. And thereby we commit mistakes. And to cover the mistake, we indulge in cheating propensity. So the man, he got illusioned by attractive slogan. And due to his uncontrolled senses, made a mistake of entering the hotel and then got cheated. See, the world around us gives many attractive propositions and tells us how we would be happy. See, like the advertising industry gives us so many appealing propositions, saying that just take this and you will be happy. The shopping malls are full of unnecessary things. And they advertise in such a way that we feel that only if I will be having that, I'll be very happy. But the fact of the matter is, we never become happy after acquiring that item. Once, what happened? Socrates, a great philosopher, was found outside a mall, writing a big list. And his friend asked him, what is he writing? And he replied, I'm making a list of items which I do not need. We write, what do we need, right? So they advertise, what they advertise? Cheat us. In such a way as if our life is incomplete without the particular brand of product. So this, like this dress, this beautiful tie, or a cream, or blazer, this perfume, right? So there is no end to sense gratification and also to frustration. So this material world is perverted reflection. That's why Krishna is the source of everything. Aham sarvasya prabho mata sarvam. Everything emanates from him and the source of everything. So the tendency to advertise also comes from Krishna. Tendency to advertise also comes from Krishna. But Krishna's advertisements are not meant for cheating, but they are for rather to deliver us. That's why he says in 15.6, right? That supreme abode of mind is not illumined by sun or moon or nor by fire or electricity. And those who reach it never return to this material world. This is his slogan. This is a perfect advertisement. Srila Prabhupada makes very clear in the preface that the Bhagavad Gita should be taken as the most perfect presentation of Vedic knowledge. Vedic knowledge is received from transcendental sources. And the first words were spoken by the Lord himself. The words spoken by the Lord are called apaurushaya, meaning that they are different from words spoken by a person of mundane world who is infected with 4 defects. So the Lord describes about his abode, which is full of bliss, and invites us there. This material world is full of misery and temporary, while his abode is full of bliss and eternal. That's why Srila Prabhupada, very categorically, he writes in this purport, one should be captivated by this information. He should desire to transfer himself to that eternal world, to extricate himself from this false reality of reflection of reality. So let us all pray for the mercy of the Lord so that we do not fall victim to the advertisement of Maya. Rather become captivated by the apaurushaya words of the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, which are so nicely given in Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So that we'll get this resolute determination in all our endeavors. That's how we should do that. That's a very beautiful bhajan, kirtan, no? Bhajan, Bhajahu Re Mana. Bhajahu Re Mana, Shri Nandanandana, Abhaya Charanara Vindare. So in the third verse, he says, Kedan yauban putra parijan hite ke ach parati tire kamala dal jala jeevan talamal kamala dal jala jeevan talamal bhajahu hari pada nitire. It says, what assurance of real happiness is there in all of one's wealth, youthfulness, sons, and family members? This life is tottering like a drop of water on a lotus petal. Therefore, you should always serve and worship the divine feet of Lord Hari. It's a beautiful bhajan, and it gives wonderful lessons also. See, Govindas Kaviraj compares this life with a drop of water on the lotus petal. The water drop on the lotus petal can fall down at any time. Similarly, this life may end any time. The danger may come to us anytime and shake up our life. My Guru Maharaj has given a nice mantra. Mujhe jana hai, mujhe jana hai. I have to go, I have to go. He insisted that we should all remember this mantra always. Then we'll be sane in our behavior with others and also sincere in our devotional service. Each day we have to live as if it is our last day and engage in Lord's service to the best of our ability. But we give excuse, no, that we don't have time, we have personal work, I have to take care of my family, etc., etc. So when Yudhishthira Maharaj was worried about Dhritarashtra after his departure from the palace, Narada Muni tells Yudhishthira beautiful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:13:46. Kala karma gunadhino dehoyam pancha bhautikaha katam manyam sugopayet sarpagrasto yathaparam. This gross metal body made of 5 elements is already under the control of eternal time, kala, action, karma, and the modes of middle nature, guna. How then can it, being already in the jaws of the serpent, protect others? So we are not sure of our own security. And how can we ensure others' security? The demon Hiranyakashipu, after thousands of years of tapasya, he had taken a comprehensive life insurance policy from Brahma. But in a single evening, he was torn to pieces by Narasimhadeva. So what to speak of insignificant living entities like us? So what is the way out? Bhajahu Hari Pada Nitire. Always serve and worship the lotus feet of Hari. So to depict this impermanent nature of this middle world, my Guru Maharaj quotes very nice verse from the scriptures. Chalat chittam chalat vittam chalat jivana yauvanam chala chalam idam sarvam bhaktiryasya sajivati. Our mind is flickering, our wealth is flickering, our own life and youth are also a passing phase. There is steadiness and eternity only in devotional service. And Krishna also gives guarantee in many verses in Bhagavad Gita. For example, 4.9, 8.15, 8.16, 13.24, 15.4, and even 15.6 now. And also in many other scriptures. So we accept so many guarantees in the material world. Pressure cooker guarantee, refrigerator guarantee, washing machine guarantee. If we can accept these materialistic guarantees, which are not always true, then why should we hesitate to accept the true guarantee provided by the absolute truth, Krishna? Therefore, we must try and engage in Krishna consciousness as much as we can. That should be our life's mission. See, in the purport of 3:16-12 in this chapter, the Krishna says, no, so these servants of mine have transgressed against you, not knowing the mind of their master, right? So from this statement, we can understand how anxious Krishna is to get his servitor back into Vaikuntha. Therefore, this pastime proves that those who have once entered Vaikuntha planet, they can never fall down. But the case of Jaya and Vijay is not a fall down. It is just an accident. The Lord is always anxious to get such devotees back again to Vaikuntha planets as soon as possible. So it is to be assumed there is no possibility of a misunderstanding between the Lord and the devotees. But when there are discrepancies or disruptions between one devotee and another, one has to suffer the consequences. Although that suffering is temporary. Very encouraging statement, right? So the Lord is so kind to his devotees that he took all the responsibility for the doorman's offense and requested the sages to give them facilities to return to Vaikuntha as soon as possible. See in Bhagavad Gita 8.16, Brahma bhuvana lokaha punaravartino arjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. From the highest planet in the middle world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place, but one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So there is no profit, even if one is promoted to the highest planet in the middle universe, Brahmaloka. However, if one is somehow or the other promoted to the abode of the Lord, he never returns to this material world. See in the Kauravas, Shishupala, in Mahabharata, he was king of Chedi, and a very great, avowed enemy of Krishna. The Bhagavad Puran describes his previous existence as Jaya, gatekeeper to the spiritual Vaikuntha world. So due to curse, he and his brother Vijaya had to take birth in the material world for 3 lives as demons. So his other 2 incarnations was Hiranyaksha and Ravana. So Krishna killed him at Yudhishthira's Rajasuya sacrifice. See, when Shishupala was killed, a great roar went up from the people assembled there. So taking advantage of that disturbance, few of the kings who were supporters of Shishupala, they quickly left the assembly out of fear for their lives. Then what happened? The fortunate Shishupala's spirit soul, Prabhupada says, this is in Krishna book, no, 74th chapter. The fortunate Shishupala's spirit soul immediately merged into the body of Lord Krishna in the presence of all, exactly as a burning meteor falls to the surface of the globe. See, the merging of Shishupala's soul into the transcendental body of Krishna reminds us of the story of Jaya and Vijaya, who fell to the middle world from the Vaikuntha planets upon being cursed by the 4 Kumaras. So for their return to the Vaikuntha world, it was arranged that both Jaya and Vijaya for 3 consecutive births would act as deadly enemies of the Lord. And at the end of these lives, they would return to the Vaikuntha world and serve the Lord as his associates. See, although Shishupala acted as the enemy of Krishna, he was not for a single moment out of Krishna consciousness. What says, right? He says, although Shishupala was a great enemy of the Lord, he was always insulting at every varying opportunity. But he was not for a single moment out of Krishna consciousness, always thinking of how to insult Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Right? So he was always absorbed in thought of Krishna. Thus, he first got the salvation of Sayujya Mukti, merging into the existence of Supreme, and was finally reinstated in his original position of personal service. So Bhagavad Gita corroborates the fact that one who is absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Lord at the time of death immediately enters the kingdom of God after quitting his material body. See, in the purport of 7th canto, Bhagavatam, 1st chapter, 35th verse, 7.35, in the purport, Prabhupada says, from authoritative sources it is learned that Jaya and Vijaya were sent to this material world to fulfill the Lord's desire to fight. Now, the Lord also sometimes wants to fight. But who can fight with the Lord but a but only a confidential devotee of the Lord. So Jaya and Vijaya are described to this world, they descended to this world to fulfill the Lord's desire. Therefore, in each of the 3 births, first as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, second as Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and third as Shishupala and Dantavakra, the Lord personally killed them. So these associates of the Lord, Jaya and Vijaya, they descended to the material world to serve the Lord by fulfilling his desire to fight. Otherwise, see, as Maharaj Yudhishthira, he says, Ashraddha Dheya Ivabhati. That means that a servant of the Lord could fall from Vaikuntha seems unbelievable. That's what Yudhishthira Maharaj is telling. So how Jaya and Vijaya came to this middle world, right? See, the discussion in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi 5.36 purport, Prabhupada says, the discussion between Maitreya Muni and Parashara Muni centered on whether devotees come down into the middle world in every millennium like Jaya and Vijaya, who were cursed by the Kumaras to that effect. So in the course of these instructions to Maitreya about Hiranyakashipu Ravana and Shishupala, Parashara Muni did not say that these demons were formerly Jaya and Vijaya. He simply described the transmigration through 3 lives. So it is not necessary for the Vaikuntha associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to come to take the roles of his enemies in all the millenniums in which he appears. The fall down of Jaya and Vijaya occurred in a particular millennium. Jaya and Vijaya do not come down in every millennium to act as demons. To think that some associates of the Lord fall down from Vaikuntha in every millennium to become demons is totally incorrect. That's what Prabhupada says in the scripture. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead has all the tendencies that may be found in the living entity. Because he is the chief living entity, right? Therefore, it is natural that sometimes the Lord Vishnu wants to fight. Just as he has the tendency to create, to enjoy, to be a friend, to accept a mother and father, and so on. He also has the tendency to fight. Like sometimes important kings and all, no, they keep wrestlers with them, no, to do some practice, mock fighting. The Lord also makes similar arrangements. So when there is a scarcity of demons and the Lord wants to fight, he instigates some of his associates of Vaikuntha come and play as demons. So this is the role that has been given. See, in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Srila Sanatana Goswami has explained that the attainment of salvation by merging into the Brahman effulgence of the Lord cannot be accepted as the highest success in life. Because demons like Kamsa, who are famous for killing Brahmanas and cows, attained that salvation. Even Shishupala we saw, right? So for devotees, such salvation is abominable. Devotees are actually in a transcendental position, whereas non-devotees are candidates for hellish conditions of life. There is always a difference between the life of a devotee and the life of a demon. And their realizations are as different as heaven and hell. So demons are always accustomed to being malicious towards devotees and to killing brahmanas and cows. And for demons, merging into Brahman effulgence may be very glorious, but for devotees, it is hellish. So a devotee's aim in life is to attain perfection in loving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So those who aspire to merge into the Brahman effulgence are as abominable as demons. Devotees who aspire to associate with the Supreme Lord to render him transcendental loving service are far, far superior. See, one of the lectures, Srila Prabhupada, he was telling, see, Yamaraj is deputed by the Lord to a particular planet, some hundreds and thousands of miles away from the planet of Earth. For what? To take away the corrupt souls after death and convict them in accordance with their respective sinful activities. So therefore, Yamaraj has very little time to take leave from his responsible office of punishing the wrongdoers. And in Kali Yuga, there are more wrongdoers than righteous men. So he's more busier. So Yamaraj has to do more work than other demigods, who are also authorized agents of Krishna. But Yamaraj, he wanted to preach the glories of the Lord, but he didn't have time. Therefore, by the will of the Lord, Yamaraj, that he was cursed by Manduka Muni to come into the world in the incarnation of Vidura and work very hard as a great devotee. So the punishment was also a reward. So those who are servants of Krishna, even they're so-called punished, there is some motive behind this. Just like Jaya and Vijaya, they were also punished to come down, just to become enemy of Krishna. So when they were very much perturbed, no, like we are going to the material world from Vaikuntha, so what will be our fate? There is some little mistake on our part. What shall we do now? This is what Jaya and Vijaya are telling now to Krishna, right? So Krishna gave him, if you become my enemy, then you will be relieved in 3 births. And if you become my friend, then 7 births. So Jaya and Vijaya agreed, sir, we shall become your enemy. So what is the purport? Krishna wanted some enemy to fight. Just like we sometimes want to fight, right? So this desire is there in Krishna. Otherwise, where do we get this desire? So actually, it was Krishna's service. It was Krishna's service is fighting also. The Jaya and Vijaya wanted to have some fight. So in the spiritual world, there cannot be fight. There is only service. Therefore, some of his devotees, like Jaya and Vijaya, no, agreed to become his enemy, come to this material world and fight with Krishna. Therefore, Krishna fought with Jaya and Vijaya. Lord Ramchandra, he fought with Ravana. And Narasimhadeva fought with Hiranyakashipu. And as Krishna, he fought with Kamsa. So similarly, Vidura also, he thought, I am always busy with so many things simply to punish as Yamaraj, right? So I have no chance to preach. So Krishna is very kind to his devotee, so he gave the chance to preach. So this was the arrangement that he was cursed by Manduka Muni, came down to this material world. That is also material world. Yamaraj's planet is also in the material world. Therefore, he was given the chance of preaching. And moreover, we saw on the next 38th verse, he said, no, it is still a respectful practice to circumambulate the Lord in Hindu temples. Especially in Vaishnava temples, there is an arrangement for people to offer their respects to the deity and circumambulate the temple at least 3 times. We have seen, we always know about this, right? See, in the Nectar of Devotion, chapter 6, how to discharge devotional service. There's one statement which is given. One must circumambulate the temple building at least 3 times. In every temple, there is an arrangement to go around the temple at least 3 times. Some devotees go around more than 3 times, 10 times, 15 times, according to their vows. The Goswamis used to circumambulate Govardhana Hill. And one should also circumambulate the whole Vrindavana area. See, Lord Krishna is present in the temple deity. And even if a child comes to offer his respects, he is counted as a devotee. A small child may not know anything, but simply by seeing the deity, chanting and dancing, he is benefited. Temples are meant to give everyone a chance to advance in Krishna consciousness one step at a time. Swalpamasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. The little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Bhagavad Gita 2.40 it says. So even if we do a little devotions on the path of bhakti, it goes to our account. It goes to our account. See, for instance, if we deposit only some $2 in a savings bank, it is kept in our account. And it will increase with interest. Similarly, if one performs even a little devotional service, it is not lost. One may come and join this Krishna conscious movement, render some service, and after a while, fall down. However, whatever service has been rendered is to one's permanent credit. That will never be lost. And when one begins again, he begins at the point where he has left off. And this is the instruction of Bhagavad Gita 6.41, where it says, the unsuccessful yogi is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Thus, if one fails to perfect his bhakti yoga, he is given another chance in his next life. See, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, one of the purports, Prabhupada says, in almost all the cities and towns of India, there are temples of Hanumanji, the eternal servant of Lord Ramchandra. There is even a temple of Hanuman near Govindaji temple in Vrindavana. Formerly, this temple was in front of the Gopalji temple. But the Gopalji deity went to Orissa to remain as Sakshi Gopal. That's a different story. So being the eternal servant of Lord Ramchandra, Hanumanji has been respectfully worshipped for many hundreds and thousands of years. We do circumambulation, right, in the temples. So here, even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu set the example showing how one should offer respect to Hanumanji. See, devotees, non-devotees, theists and atheists. So theistic conduct. What is theistic conduct? Is having faith in Krishna. Having faith in Krishna will perfect our life as our minds will be steady when you are with Krishna. Restlessness is the product of modern age, Kali, which is the age of quarrel, disturbance, and misunderstanding. If we want to save ourselves from all these degradations of Kali, we have to divert our attention from material things to spiritual reality. Instead, if we quarrel, it will lead to ill will, right? And lead to degradation of our soul, killing of the soul. So if soul is degraded, we have to take millions of births and deaths again and again. We are unable to tolerate one birth, one disease, one old age, one death. How are you going to tolerate millions of it? So you have to come to this point that whether we understand it or not, we have to stick to the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Once we understand the message, we will never waste our time in unnecessary calls. Rather, we do all the things as a matter of duty and try to spend more and more time in relishing the nectar message of the scriptures. Parikshit Maharaj knew this. That's why when he was cursed to death, he spent the time listening to Srimad Bhagavatam. Parikshit Maharaj was saved by Krishna right from when he was in the womb of his mother Uttara. When Ashwatthama released the nuclear weapon, Brahmastra, to kill Parikshit, Lord Krishna in a thumb form protected Parikshit within the womb. Not only was Parikshit Maharaj protected by Krishna in the womb, each and every one of us were protected by Krishna when we were in the mother's womb. So as described in the pages of Bhagavatam, if we know the horrible conditions in which a child exists in the mother's womb, we will definitely realize how impossible it is for the child to safely come out of the mother's womb. Either the child will die or the mother will die or both would die. But Krishna has been so mercifully protecting us and kept us alive so long. But we fail to be grateful to him and claim everything as ours. The reality is that everything belongs to Krishna. He is the owner of this whole cosmic manifestation. We should remember that nothing belongs to us. Things which belongs to us will accompany us all the time, correct? So we cannot carry our homes, bank balances. At the time of death, we cannot. Sorry. Whether we have a Mercedes car or a donkey for traveling, it doesn't matter. Neither of them will be accompanying us at the time of death. So without understanding the reality, if you are unnecessarily proud and falsely claim that Krishna's property as ours, then Krishna says, okay, if this house is yours, fine, pay the house tax, pay the electricity bill, pay the water bill, and at the time of that, Krishna kicks us out forcefully and takes his property back. So, to depict the impermanent nature of this material world, we just saw previously that beautiful verse, no? Chalat chittam, chalat vittam, chalat jivana yavanam, chala chalam idam sarvam, bhaktir yasa sa jivati. Our mind is flickering, our wealth is flickering, our own life and youth are also passing phase. There is steadiness and eternity only in devotional service. Our mind is always flickering. Sometimes it dictates us to go to the market, sometimes to a mall. Sometimes it doesn't want to wake up for Mangala Aarti or even take bath or wear clean clothes. It's a lot of things. Our mind is slightly flickering. Suddenly an idea comes and then it passes away. So it is always unsteady when not in touch with Krishna. Similarly, money, if not used for Krishna, goes away. Money, if not used for Krishna, goes away. So life is also flickering. Now we are alive. We never know what may happen in the next second. We might get heart attack. Life goes away. An accident, and life goes away. Or something else might happen, and life goes away. All these things are changing. So you are a small child a few years ago. What happened to that body? The school you studied, the place where you grew up, the house you lived during the childhood days, the college you studied, everything is changing. Your parents grow old and die. You get married and children are growing up. So after some time, children might kick us out. Everything will change. But please remember that only eternal thing in this world is spiritual reality, that we are servants of the Supreme Lord Krishna. And so continuously chant and redirect all our attention to Krishna's instructions by taking shelter of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much, Mataji, for giving us this opportunity to glorify the Supreme Lord Krishna and being associated with all the wonderful devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhicha kripa sindhubhaya vachapatitanam pavane. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. If anybody has any questions or anything to share, please go ahead. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Very nice session. Very, very touching. The truth is here. It's that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Anything you found very useful statements for your day-to-day life, practical life, can apply? Thank you, Sunita Mataji. Hare Krishna. Okay, if nothing is there, shall we close, Prabhuji? No questions? It's okay. Thank you very much for joining and keeping the appointment. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji Mataji. Hare Krishna. Namaste.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji.
My
Thanks a
name
lot.
appeared in the shlokas.
Hare Krishna.
Self-
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Namaste. Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you, Shanti Govindas Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Jai. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Raji Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Sri Kumar Prabhu. Sindhuja Mataji. Take care. Be safe. Hari Bol.